Please welcome CEO Amazon Web Services, Andy Jassy.
Thank you, guys, and thank you for spending the time with us here today. We really appreciate it. It's a special event, and we have two announcements that we want to make, and so I'm going to get right to it. And let me start with the first one. The first one is really something that originated out of customer input, which is the vast majority of what we end up building comes from what customers tell us matters to them. And what we've noticed for a long time is that we've had a number of AWS customers who either operate space satellites or consume from them. And there are lots of examples. DigitalGlobe has been a long-time deep partner with AWS for a long time. Mapbox processes over 100 million miles of telemetry data every day to power its maps. You can look at Weather Risk, who processes more than 200 gigabytes of satellite weather data a day. And we also work with a number of space agencies. The European Space Agency, they have satellites that they take data from to collect terabytes of data about the current state of the planet. Or you can look at NASA and the Jet Propulsion Lab, JPL, that downloads images from its Mars exploration rover and then stores that data in AWS and does analytics and sends instructions back to the rover itself. And the same is true with Blue Origin. Very broad number of customers. However, what you find, and what these customers tell us all the time, is that it's not so simple dealing with satellites if you actually want to be able to upload and download data, which the industry calls uplinking and downlinking data. You first need a number of antennas, what people call ground stations, and you need them situated all over the world, given where satellites are and how they pass through the Earth. And then, if you're actually going to uplink and downlink that data, you have to write all kinds of business logic and scripts and workflows to be able to move the data back and forth and to be able to take that data and analyze it and use it in applications. And then it also means that if you want to actually take that data and do something with it, you need it in some kind of infrastructure to store it, to process it, to do analytics on top of it, and to take actions back. All of those things are difficult for customers to do. And apart from the complexity of it, it's expensive. If you actually work regularly where you need ground stations or antennas, you have to either buy them or build them or lease them, and it's very cost effective. And then it's very expensive, I should say. It's not cost effective. And then uplinking and downlinking data is also expensive. So it was interesting to us when we thought about that, and customers said to us, look, there's so much data in space, and there's so many applications that really want to use that data that can completely change the way that we interact with our planet and the world and the applications and things we could do. Why don't you just make this easier? And that was interesting. We thought about that. We hadn't really been deeply thinking about doing anything in this space, no pun intended. And we thought about, well, we have 19 regions around the world. A region for AWS is a physical place where we have multiple data centers with 5 more coming, and we have 57 availability zones with another 15 coming. So we have this really broad global footprint at this point. And what customers want to do when they interact with the satellite data is they want to actually get it into some infrastructure to store it and process and analyze it. And we have so many customers who are doing so much of this work anyway in these regions, we thought maybe we can help here. And so I'm excited to announce the launch of AWS Ground Station, which is the world's first fully managed global ground station as a service. Maybe not what you were predicting. And so what it is it's a set of ground stations and antennas located all over the world in very close proximity and very frequently right on the same grounds as our global infrastructure and regions. And it gives customers on-demand access to these ground stations. No need to lease them up front, no need to try to build them or buy them, no big upfront costs. You can lease them and pay for it by the minute, with the preview starting today with a couple of those ground stations and 10 more coming in the early part of 2019. And here's how it'll work. So you figure out which ground station that you're going to want to interact with. You identify which satellite you're going to interact with, and you schedule effectively a contact time when you want that satellite to interact with the chosen ground station, when that satellite is going to pass by in close proximity to that ground station. And then each of those ground stations have multiple antennas, so you can simultaneously be downlinking and uplinking. That data connection is through a network, but that's in an Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, or VPC. And that data gets downloaded directly into an Amazon VPC. So now it's in your AWS infrastructure to store durably and then to do whatever analytics and processing you want. Then it means instead of the old norm where it took hours or sometimes days, depending on how you were doing it, to get it to the infrastructure to actually process it, it's right there in the region where you can do it in seconds. And then, as I said earlier, you pay per use. You only pay by the minute that you use. So very exciting and a total game changer in how people can interact with satellites.